Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You guys know the drill. I'll save you the story. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. We're going to get into tonight Karen Read retrial, day 27. It was a short day. Judge Bev had things to do, and she cut she cut the day short, as she said on day 26. She said it would be a short day, and she held to it. But we heard from Lucky Loughran, snowplow operator, and we also heard from a friend of Karen Read. I don't want to butcher her name, Ed, but we'll call her Karina, right? So we'll just keep it at that. And even Mr. Yannetti had a little hard time with it. But hey, listen, we want to say thank you to you for subscribing, hitting the thumbs up. We're 500 subscribers away from 500,000 subscribers. So thank you to all of the new folks. Thank you to all of the people who have been here a long time. And thank you to everybody in between. Our moderators, the replay viewers, we love you guys and we thank you. Today was an interesting day because once again, we saw Hank Brennan go after and attack one of the two witnesses. He left the female alone. He left her alone. He did not go after Karina at all. As a matter of fact, he was nice to her. And she even looked, if you noticed, Ed, and if you guys notice in the chat, I see the aloha in the chat. If you noticed, he looked at Hank Brennan and at the judge like, that's it? Okay. She got the hell out of there real quick. Ed, your thoughts on day 27?
Well, Mr. Licardi, did anybody tell you to say the word first responder in your opening monologue? Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, just when I thought I couldn't dislike Brennan anymore, he just continues to raise that level. In my life, I try not to hate anybody, because hating is bad. And I believe in karma. I believe in Christianity. And, my religion says love everybody and so forth. But he is really, pushing me to my limits. Yeah, okay. I find nothing about this man socially and professionally acceptable. Let's just put it that way. Okay. I think this is a test that God has sent my way with that man. Okay.
You're being very nice, Ed. You're being very nice. That's for sure.
Yeah, I am. Because, I do owe a confessional trip. Okay. But that said, man, all I kept saying is like, he can, when it's a sign of desperation, let's just put it that way. What he does is a sign of desperation. He is feeling pressure that he is losing this case. And you mark my words, folks, when the other witnesses start to roll in, he is going to become more and more aggressive. Yeah. Okay. And every time he does these things, he loses.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the jury's picking up on this, he loses. I believe they are picking up on it. In addition, you see the dichotomy between the defense witnesses and the prosecution's witnesses. I mean, it is night and day. It's not even close.
Exactly.
No obfuscation, no word salads, no hesitation in answers. Very amicable, very friendly, matter of fact type of banter going back and forth with the questions and answers. Okay.
Right. I felt bad for Brian Lucky Loughran because here he is, a lifetime Canton resident, born and raised in Canton. He went to Canton High School, graduated in 1990. He spent 6 years delivering for the Alberts, right? Chris Albert owns that pizza shop. This guy, in my opinion, is one of the good guys. Although there's that controversy with Turtle Boy of him, Hank Brennan was suggesting that he was threatening him, which is hogwash. I'll use a couple of buttons for that later on. But Lucky came forward, and that's my father's nickname. My dad I miss you. May he rest in peace. My dad's nickname Lucky. So I'm partial to Lucky, but he seems like a guy that doesn't really have a bad bone in his body, and he lost his wife. And this is what made the day so atrocious to me. It was just, it made me outraged. I was at work and I was really angry with Hank Brennan. Just when I thought that he couldn't do something more vile, he just dismissed that Lucky lost his life, his wife's life, during the course of all of this unfolding, right?
Yeah. And I'm sorry you lost your wife, but
yeah. I mean, what a sickening man.
Oh, my God.
Listen to day 27.
Tonight, a Plow driver questioned about his route through Canton the morning John O'Keefe was found in the snow.
What did you see on the front lawn of 34 Fairview on January 29th of 2022?
I saw nothing.
How his testimony adds another layer to an already complex case. Plus, concerns about being pulled into the public eye by a controversial blogger.
I wouldn't say embarrassing, as more as aggravating.
And a half day today and no court tomorrow. We explore why the judge opted to pause proceedings. Canton Confidential, the Karen Read murder trial, starts right now.
He set out to plow the streets of Canton during a snowstorm 3 years ago, and today that driver testified in the high-profile Karen Read trial. Good evening, everyone. I'm JC Monahan.
And I see the chats going wild about Hank and also talking about Turtle Boy, but I want to present. I'm going to put us back on just for a second. We'll go right back to this. Ed, I want to present to our live chat and the folks who watch us on the replay. If it wasn't for the aggressiveness of a non-law enforcement person, I'm referring to Turtle Boy here. If Turtle Boy didn't go and look to interview this snowplow operator, and I'm not saying that's the best course of action to take. You would hope that the lead investigator and that anybody from Canton PD or anybody with a couple of brain cells in the investigatory field would say, hey, we got to go and we got to interview the DPW workers. He wasn't the only one that was plowing roads out there, but he had that route. It was a simple mathematical, 5, 6 I almost said tow truck, snow plow drivers out there. You eliminated thank you, Ed. You eliminated, hold on.
Pardon my French.
Okay. But it didn't take a rocket science to narrow it down, but it took a civilian to say, hey, let me go and talk to this tow truck this snowplow operator. And he did it. So I say kudos to that. And I say, how despicable is it that the lead investigator from the Massachusetts State Police, nobody from the Canton Police Department, nobody from BPD. Now, they weren't investigating at BPD, but it was one of their own. No detective said, hey, let's go and interview these people. No.
This was MSP's job, and they didn't do it. The feds, FBI, actually interviewed them before MSP did, okay? Mm-hmm. And what did we learn today in the testimony? That there was a contracted plow driver that was out there working in tandem with Lucky, and Lucky told that to the private investigator for the defense team. And did Michael Proctor or MSP or anybody at MSP or the prosecutor's office go find that other contracted snowplow driver and interview them?
Negative. Not. Right. They're all negligent. This is a travesty of justice, in my opinion. They never pulled any video. They never went to do video canvases on Fairview. They never went to door to interview neighbors on each side of 34 Fairview, behind, across the street. The chief of detectives lived straight across the street. He had his own video surveillance, but according to his little bitch boy, Lieutenant Leaf Blower. Lieutenant Leaf, hold on, wait a minute. What do we got here?
Lieutenant Leaf Blower.
Lieutenant Leaf Blower stated that I know that the commander of the detective squad, the commanding officer of the detective squad, His cameras don't shoot out to the street. So we just decided not to look at it. We decided not to go into 34 Fairview and interview everybody inside there. We decided not to secure 34 Fairview and search it for any evidence of who could have possibly killed police officer John O'Keefe. That's part of investigation 101. You eliminate potential sources, potential perpetrators. Was there anybody hiding in that house that potentially killed him? No, they didn't do that. So it just falls in line with all the missteps intentionally. And there's the solo cups. Ed's pulling out all the stops.
Or why the judge opted to pause proceedings. Canton Confidential, the Karen Read murder trial, starts right now.
He set out to plow the streets of Canton during a snowstorm 3 years ago, and today that driver testified in the high-profile Karen Read trial. Good evening, everyone. I'm JC Monahan.
And I'm Glenn Jones. Brian Loughran was clearing snow on Fairview Road the day John O'Keefe was found outside in a blizzard. Lucky, as he is sometimes called, was the first witness called to the stand Wednesday. Our Melody Mendez joins us outside court with more on today's proceedings. Mel, good evening.
Good evening, Glenn and JC. Listen, Loughran grew up in Canton. He has lived there his whole life. He now works for the Department of Public Works as a plow driver, as you mentioned. And he is the only witness we know of to have not only driven down 34 Fairview overnight and into the morning hours of the night in question, but drove up and down the street multiple times. Now, here's the thing. He also used to work as a pizza delivery driver in that area, and he knows the area really well. And in his testimony again today, he said he did not see a body on the front lawn.
Loughran says he started his shift around 2:30 a.m. January 29th inside a plow truck known by workers as Frankentruck.
When all of those lights are on, how bright is it in front of your truck?
Extremely bright, almost if I had a spotlight.
And that's facing straight out?
Correct.
What about facing diagonally out front?
Again, as far as the lights will illuminate.
How much of the front lawn of 34 Fairview could you see?
I could see all the way to the front door.
Loughran knows the home well. He testified that he grew up with Chris Albert, the brother of then.
We loved the term Frankentruck. That was made me smile when I heard that. Frankentruck. And why is it called Frankentruck? It's put together with all different parts and nobody I'm the one who wants to ride in it.
I know that firsthand because, as a Mustang enthusiast, I looked at a replica of the Steve McQueen Bullet that I was looking to buy. And it was a Frankenstein Mustang. It had parts from all different cars in it.
His Frankentruck. I love it. I love it.
When all of those
Pizza delivery driver in that area, and he knows the area really well. And in his testimony again today, he said he did not see a body on the front lawn.
Loughran says he started his shift around 2:30 a.m. January 29th inside a plow truck known by workers as Frankentruck.
When all of those lights are on, how bright is it in front of your truck?
Extremely bright, almost if I had a spotlight.
And that's facing straight out?
Correct.
What about facing diagonally out front?
Again, as far as the lights will illuminate.
How much of the front lawn of 34 Fairview could you see?
I could see all the way to the front door.
Loughran knows the home well. He testified that he grew up with Chris Albert, the brother of then homeowner Brian Albert, and often delivered pizzas to that house while working for Chris Albert's pizza shop in his 20s. Loughran says he made multiple passes along the road throughout the night. His attention focused entirely out the front window to the right and left to avoid hitting anything.
What was on the ground on the Albert's lawn at that point in the area of the flagpole?
Nothing.
Did you see a 6'1", 216-pound man lying on that lawn?
No.
When you're making the second pass by,
I saw nothing.
At around 3:30 a.m.
Those were very high impact words, Ed, and especially the way he delivered them. Kudos to Lucky. And listen, no matter how he got here, no matter how he got interviewed by the PI, and we don't know much about Turtle Boy. We really don't follow the white noise But at the end of the day, it's clear and apparent that Hank Brennan didn't want to name him by name. What did he refer to him as? The blogger or something like that?
Yes.
The online blogger.
Who was in the courtroom at the time.
He was wearing a bright red shirt. We're going to play that in a little bit. But I say kudos to him, irregardless of, like, I saw someone put something derogatory in the chat about the guy. It's a fact when you're online and you're out there and doing stuff like this, people are going to like you and people are not going to like you. But at the end of the day, if it wasn't for him, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, we wouldn't have Lucky here in the first trial and in the second trial testifying.
Well, when you come up with your, who the guilty party is within, after interviewing one person, and you are fixated with this is the person that did it, and you focus your attention and so forth on that one individual and not look at anything else. You lost all your objectivity because you weren't looking to do an investigation.
Yeah.
Okay. You weren't looking to. You had your target. Your target was given to you, and you focused on your target, and you'd made everything try to fit that target and to disregard all other logic. Now, but what has been so devastating to this, in my opinion, besides all the investigative, protocols that weren't followed and all that stuff, the lab analysts saying there was no salt or sand deposits inside the light housing, right? When all around the light housing on the exterior of that vehicle are salt, water, and sand deposits. Okay. Right. 1, 2. Yesterday, Sergeant was devastating. That light did not look like that when I saw it. And he's referring to the photograph from the Sally Port. Okay. All right. So, all right. Then you have Lucky, right, saying, no body there. Plus, then you have all the other witnesses that were at the Albert's house saying when they left around, whatever time they left, they didn't see anybody in the front lawn.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I kept saying to myself, Lucky. Okay. Lucky. What could I use for Lucky? And then it dawned on me, that, with all the excitement of what went on that night in the snowstorm, and as I was plowing, I lost track of time. I couldn't remember, the exact times I went by the McCabe's house. So, Mr. Brennan, you got to ask yourself.
The Albert's house.
Yeah. What did I say?
McCabe's.
I'm sorry, McAlbert's, but the Albert's house, right? You got to ask yourself, Mr. Brennan, when he's being questioned on the stand, right? Do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Oh, what I paid to see that, something interaction like that on the stand. I paid good money to see that.
Make my day.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's listen to the rest of this. That was a good one, Ed. Thank you for putting that on.
He testified that he saw an out-of-place vehicle in the road.
As I make my right onto Fairview, I notice that there's a vehicle on the right-hand side, roughly in the area of the flagpole. For as long as I can remember, they have never parked a vehicle in front of their house.
Loughran said
and that was big about the vehicle at that particular hour parked in front of the house, and that particular statement that he made, because again, the snowplow and the Department of Public Works, and he went on to further say, Ed, that he is so familiar with 34 Fairview because he's delivering pizza there, he's bringing food there, and he knows that cars are never parked there. And that's huge.
He grew up in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he's very familiar with these people. When he was asked, how many people of the Alberts do you know? He goes, I know them all.
Yeah, your typical Catholic Irish family in the Boston area with a huge family.
Absolutely.
anything.
What was on the ground on the Albert's lawn at that point in the area of the flagpole?
Nothing.
Did you see a 6'1", 216-pound man lying on that lawn?
No.
When you're making the second pass by,
I saw nothing.
At around 3:30 a.m., he testified that he saw an out-of-place vehicle in the road.
As I make my right onto Fairview, I notice that there's a vehicle on the right-hand side roughly in the area of the flagpole. For as long as I can remember, they have never parked a vehicle in front of their house.
Loughran said he didn't follow DPW protocol to notify a supervisor.
Knowing the Albert family, knowing that there was a first responder, I gave them respect and opted not to follow procedures.
Now, Ed, you and I talked about this before we went live. That is something that you hear like cop to cop, like professional courtesy.
Professional courtesy, yeah.
Well, so what he extended was municipal worker to another municipal worker, because that's what, you know, police are for the most part. Municipal workers, government workers.
Civil servants.
Yeah, civil servants. Thank you. So Lucky basically was saying, I didn't call my boss and I didn't call into the police because I was giving him courtesy. I was just, you know, we had a nor'easter coming in. It was all hands on deck. I was snow plowing along and trying to do this safely. There's a lot to being a plow operator. There's a lot of different things. And I don't think anybody here, and I'm in defense of Lucky, I don't think anybody here can say that, you know, snow plow operators, they've got a job to do, and it's a long job. You know, they're going through lots of roads. It's not just 34 Fairview. They're going through their routes, as he said. But there's many people here, myself, when it snows, I put my car off the street, but I see on my block at least one person. There's always that one person that leaves their car there. And what happens? The side view mirror sometimes gets clipped. But it's so hard to judge these plows. Sometimes they make mistakes. And in fact, he had a reported accident that night. He hit, not an accident, he hit a, what did he say, a kid's soccer net or something?
He hit the net of a basketball rim.
Yeah.
So he caught the, you know, he clipped it as he was passing it. No big deal.
Nasty Hank, I think, brought that up. And his exhausting cross-examination of Lucky. And I'm not going to bore us with that, but he really went to work on this guy.
You know, that he went to work on him, you know, about a foggy memory again and times. And you really, you know, he's got a lot of cojones.
Big balls, but
like, you know, for going after these witnesses about times when his, when his witnesses all have memory lapses,
right,
or they had a false memory. You know, please give me a break with this shit, right? Your witnesses, I don't recall that. I don't recall that. Okay.
Right.
When they testified numerous times and had their previous testimony and all this stuff to review. Are you kidding me? And he attacks. This guy is being honest, and he's attacking him because he's hurting his case.
What Hank's doing here is what a defense attorney is usually does, right? He's now he's done with presenting, and they've rested. So his only option is to attack the witnesses that the defense is bringing on. So it's almost like a flip script here, because everybody's saying, oh yeah, the defense, they attack everybody. Well, that's their job. They need to create reasonable doubt. And in this case, in our opinion, the defense has created a mountain of reasonable doubt. We can go, maybe one day I'll get with Kristen over the weekend when we have some time, and we'll do a uploaded video, and we'll label it The Mountain of Reasonable Doubt, and we'll go over each point that is reasonable doubt here, and everybody will be like, whoa, holy shiitake mushrooms, right?
Yes. And, you know, I mean, this, and he's trying to put words in this witness's mouth. You know, oh, you felt intimidated, and you felt this, and you felt that. Well, how the hell do you know what he felt? You should have said, did you feel this, or did this make you feel this way? And, you know, that's how no, he's trying to do subliminally, not even subliminally, he's overtly trying to put words in the witness's mouth. And good for Lucky, because he shot back, no, I didn't feel that way. No, I didn't. I mean, how many times do you ask the same question? Like 5 times he asked the same question about it, and he kept telling him no, but he wouldn't accept the answer.
Yeah, he did it 5 times, and it was consecutively. It was obnoxious. Love Boston 1976. That was a good year. Thank you for the 10. Thank you, Ron and Ed. I'm usually listening on the replay. We love our replay viewers. Love Boston. We love our replay viewers. Absolutely love you guys. I finally caught a live. I love and respect your coverage and expertise. Free Karen Read. Well, the feeling's mutual, and we thank you for your long-time support here. It's always good to see you, and thank you for being in the live chat. Let's let the rest of this play.
Lockren was interviewed by a private investigator for the defense 2 weeks after O'Keefe's death, and again by another agency a year later, before he was ever contacted by Mass State Police. On cross-examination, Hank Brennan tried to show that Lockren's testimony has changed over time, but the Plow driver stood firm.
Many times your memory has changed. Is that fair to say?
It has not.
Next on the stand, Karina Kolakithis, a friend of John O'Keefe's and Jennifer McCabe.
Now, I want to shift gears. Well, I sound like Alan Jackson for a second there. Not. I want to shift gears by saying, Miss Kolakova, I know I was going to mess this up. Karina did a great job in testifying. She was very likable. She was very honest. Her testimony seemed forthright, honest, and natural. The flow was natural. She's talking about, being a basketball mom, sports, all of the things that she talked about. I think a lot of us as parents, I know me, it rung true to me when I was going through that phase of coaching the boys with baseball, and all the parents intermingling and getting together, and, oh, let's go out and have dinner, or let's meet here. Sometimes it was with the team, sometimes it was not. It was after so all of the things that she testified to today were very relatable. And she solidified that Karen Read was not in an uptight or there wasn't any problem between her and John O'Keefe. She portrayed them as loving. He kissed her on the forehead. She thought that was like a really sweet thing. So I think that was the idea that the defense was wanting to get out of Karina, and she delivered. And surprising to all of us, Nasty Hank, was nice to her. I don't think that he felt. I think he was getting, somebody was whispering in his ear, "You need to stop. You need to stop, and this is not the one." So he let her off the hook, and she was surprised. Don't you think?
I don't think he really could do much with her. Okay, because she blows the theory that they call it theory, the Commonwealth's theory that they were fighting and arguing, and meanwhile they're all kissy and lovey-dovey inside the bar.
Yeah, she was lovely. Samara Graham said that in the chat. Yeah, she was good. Let's take a listen. Ed, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, but later on, I really want to get into that video from inside the bar and break that down.
We're going to circle back. This is just one of the little pieces that's going over. We're going to circle back, Mr. Wallace. Okay. Let me just hit you with this.
Stop breathing down my neck.
Plow driver stood firm.
Many times your memory has changed. Is that fair to say?
It has not.
Next on the stand, Karina Kolakithis, a friend of John O'Keefe's and Jennifer McCabe's through their daughter's sports. Kolakithis was at the Waterfall Bar and Grill on the night in question and says she spent 90% of that night speaking to Karen Read. When asked about Read's demeanor, Kolakithis said she seemed normal, not drunk, and had no concerns about Read driving that night. She described the interactions she saw between O'Keefe and Read, saying the two seemed very affectionate.
John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead. I was like, wow, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
Before Kolakithis left the bar, she said a moment between Read and Jennifer McCabe stood out to her.
As we were leaving, Jen went over to Karen, kind of put her arm around her, and she started saying, "You're coming with me, you're coming with me." And Karen's like, huh? Like, what? Like, where are we going?
Read didn't leave with McCabe, but with O'Keefe instead. We caught up with her on her way out of court.
How do you feel about the defense's case? How do you feel about the defense?
Very well, solid.
All right, now the judge has delayed testimony in the trial until Friday because of the heat out here, JC and Glenn. I'm sure Sue O'Connell could speak to how stifling it can get in that very crowded, very small courtroom. Meanwhile, Karen Read did tell me on her way out of court that she thinks the defense will be able to wrap up their testimony by next Tuesday. Back to you.
Melody Mendez at the courthouse. Thank you. Back with us tonight is our...
So, again, Karen Read outside the courthouse said that she feels that her team, the team, could possibly wrap up on Tuesday or sometime next week.
Well, they have to bring in the crash daddies.
Crash daddies coming in.
Coming in hot.
All the ladies are going to be watching that. That's for sure. Let's go over some of these chats real quick, and then we'll get back to Lucky, because he stole the show today. Lucky did not falter. He did not cave in to Hank Brennan's nonsense, and Hank did try to get him. Hank really went at him, and he tried to he tried to choke him out real quick. And
well, first he tried to say Lucky was intimidated, and that's why he testified the way he did. Then he said he tried to intimate that Lucky liked the notoriety he was getting and the praise that he got after his last testimony, and he enjoyed that, and that's why his testimony keeps changing. Then he tried to say that Lucky didn't know the difference between the Albert's Ford Edge, and they own two of them, okay, versus Kerry's what she have, a Ford Explorer, or was it a Ford Expedition? I believe it was a Ford Explorer. If anybody in the chat knows, is it a Ford Explorer or an Expedition? But he tried to say when he came back, what he really saw was Kerry's Ford Explorer before they had gotten out of the car to find John's body. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah. I didn't see in the chat if anybody corrected. It was a Ford Edge. Yes. Thank you, Eileen.
No, it was the Ford Edge is what he saw, but the way Brennan brought up the clips of at 6 o'clock, past 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock and so forth, with the tow truck, he was trying to say that he may be confusing
the Explorer. It was
the Explorer of Kerry, who parked by the flagpole.
Right. I wanted to play this because this gives a little bit of a different angle, and it also we hear Hank Brennan mention the intimidation factor or threatened factor. Let's take a listen.
Well, in the courtroom today at the Karen Read murder retrial, a key defense witness told the jury he did not see John O'Keefe's body in the snow 3 years ago. So what did he see on the night Boston police officer John O'Keefe passed away? NBC 10's John Maroney is live for it.
I hate when the reporters say that. He didn't pass away. He was killed. He was murdered. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I get.
No, you're 100%. You're 100%.
Things.
They try to water it down based upon their biases.
Ugh. God.
10's John Maroney is live for us outside Norfolk Superior Court. He's got the details on what happened inside that courtroom today.
Colton, we heard from that snowplow driver as well as a woman who was with Karen Read and John O'Keefe only hours before he died.
I work for the DPW. I work in the highway division.
Brian Logren was behind the wheel of a snowplow Franken truck the night John O'Keefe died. His route included 34 Fairview Road, but he says he never saw O'Keefe's body in the front yard.
Did you see a 6'1", 216-pound man lying on that lawn?
No.
Karen Read has pleaded not guilty to hitting O'Keefe with her SUV, leaving him to die in the snow after a night of drinking. Logren says he drove his plow by Fairview 4 times before emergency responders arrived and never saw a body.
Many times your memory has changed. Is that fair to say?
It has not.
Special prosecutor Hank Brennan pressed Logren on his memory and attention he received from Aidan Carney, a.k.a. Turtle Boy, who featured him in his blog, as well as his brother, a Canton selectman. Logren says he never felt threatened to testify in a certain way.
It's completely baseless. There was no threats. I just want I think the bigger question is, why did a blogger, as Hank Brennan calls me, why did I get to speak with the Plow driver before Michael Proctor did?
I had talked to her all.
And what he just said there is 100% on the money. Why was he able to talk to Lucky before any investigator, the lead investigator for the Massachusetts State Police, disgraced, fired Trooper Michael Proctor? Why was Turtle Boy able to interview him? Did nobody want to find out what the truth was? I say, and I present to all of you here, that answer is yes. And we are seeing it unfold times two. It unfolded in the first trial, and now it's unfolding in the second trial.
You don't do an investigation when you already have your target and you're hoping to overwhelm the target with all these charges so they cop a plea instead of going to trial. That's, it says it in the text, right? Yeah. If she pleads out, this will all be over. If she goes to trial, this is going to be whatever he said.
An episode.
An episode, yeah.
Let's go to the full day's trial, but I do want to get to some of the super chats. It's 4 hours and 5 minutes, which is actually pretty short. Usually these things are over 7 hours. So I wanted to highlight some of the super chats. Ed, if you can help me out here. Barbara George, member for 21 months, the best crime news on YouTube. Thanks to DutyRon and Ed.
Thank you, Barbara. Matthew Bradford, are witnesses told not to say FBI? What if one just mentions it? Well, several have. That door has been kicked open. The judge didn't want the defense attorneys and the prosecutors to use FBI. They say other law enforcement agency. They weren't supposed to use agent, but that's also come out. And this is all in Judge Bev's rulings. Okay, so the witnesses would have to know, have to have been told when they're being prepped by either the prosecutor or defense attorney, hey, don't say FBI agent. Okay, don't say the word FBI. Okay, I'm Cora, not Chloe. David Reese, thank you for the $4.99. What do you all think about Brennan using the MSP report while claiming it was an FBI report? He's done that time and time again, and he needs to be called out on it, and he needs to be sanctioned for what he's doing. That's why if you're on the stand when that a-hole is cross-examining you with some kind of document, ask to see it, just like he prepped his witnesses, right? Oh, do you have something to refresh my memory? Can I see it? Well, if it says it in the report, can I see the report? How they deflect when they don't want to answer directly. Graceful becomes a YouTube member. Welcome, Graceful.
Thank you, Graceful. Odin's Marta, thank you for the 5. I think Hank saw Lucky's polite and reserved demeanor and mistook that for a lack of intelligence and lack of character. Big mistake. And also, he actually mistook Lucky's kindness for weakness, and he tried to exploit that. And it backfired on him big time, because Lucky did not cave. That's for sure. Love
Boston 1976. Thanks for the $9.99. Thank you, DutyRon and Ed Wallace. I'm usually listening on replay at work. I finally caught a live. I love and respect your coverage and experience. FKR. And I love that dirty water. Dum, dum, dum. Okay, Chef Lady, member for 42 months. Congratulations. Thank you for your support. It's his character. That's correct. It has character, rather. Okay. Amanese, did I get that right? Amanese? Dumpster fire pic was distorted and it was green. What street was it on and day? The devil would have made a big deal if on Fairview by Alberts, but maybe I missed it.
That dumpster was on Fairview.
You two shout out to Lucky.
Yes. Yep.
Love you too. You two shout out for Lucky.
There you go. Thank you so much for that super chat. It was on the same street. Thomas, thank you for the 5. Lucky is one of the best witnesses I've seen in a long time. Yeah, the sergeant wasn't too bad yesterday, but I loved Lucky because he had some fire to him. He was very sure in his answers, and I really thought he did a great job. Tim, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Look at this one, Ed. Evie's back.
EV323, thank you for the 20. A prosecutor represents the people. That is right. All prosecutions are done in the name of the people. In this case, it's the people of the Commonwealth versus, right? And the people stand for justice and truth. But Brennan isn't seeking the truth. He's just trying to win. His tactics are unethical, and he distorts facts to smear credible witnesses. I 100% agree, because he leads his questions into the witnesses. Didn't you feel pressured? Didn't you feel threatened? Didn't you feel, like I said, trying to put words in people's mouth?
Yeah. What do we got here, Ed?
Okay, Christy. I don't want to butcher the last name, Ruli. Okay, if I said wrong, I apologize. $4.99. Thank you. Stuff. I don't know how to go that way, but by flat lawn in vids, Lucky familiar with area, can see any lump on the snow. Also, I was yelled at for assist to stuck driver in snow emergency. Okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. This was a nor'easter. It was a big storm that was being forecast. All hands were on deck in the Department of Public Works, the Highway Department. And, there's a lot of people trying to, move the snow and make it safe for emergency services to get through. Glamazoos, thank you for the 5. 90% of Proctor's interview with Lucky was about Turtle Boy. And it is the only interview that Proctor recorded. Interesting. And thank you for the super chat. Shantae's Inferno, thank you for becoming a new member. We appreciate that.
Mary Logram with the 10 pound. I guess she's from the UK. My friend had blood cancer, Ron, and is almost 6 years in remission. Well, congratulations and good. God praise her. She did make Rick Simpson oil. She did make Rick Simpson oil. Godsend. You look amazing, and you're an inspiration. Keep fighting. Love you both. Thank you, Mary.
I saw her last name is the same as Lucky. It's spelled exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So
could they be related?
No. Let us know, Mary. Christina, thank you for the 5. Sorry, I can't send more. No. Listen.
You don't have to send anything.
You don't have to send anything. We appreciate just you being here. Thank you, Ron and Ed and the mods for doing this. So happy, Lucky, and the doctor stuck to their pew-pews.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Pew.
Heatherlicious, thank you for becoming a member, a YouTube member. Much appreciated. Let's get to the live chat. We love our live chatters. You guys are what makes this a great place. I say it every night, but I want you guys to know that we acknowledge that you take out the time to be here with us, and we are honored that you're here. We truly are, and I can't say that enough. Some people have sent me emails and said, Ron, stop thanking everybody and get to what you're talking about. We have an hour or two to get to what we're talking about. I think our subscribers and our community members are worth it to talk and communicate with and to show our appreciation. That is important to me. I know it's important to my brother right here, Ed Wallace. So I got to do it. I'm going to do it. And no matter what anybody says, I won't ever stop doing that.
All right.
Let's listen. Let's take a listen in. We're done with the super chats, and I'm going to scan the chat for any questions that are coming in. Look, it's Princess Mitch and Rob. We love these guys down in our hot, not humid, hot, dry Arizona. Good to have you here. All right, let's listen to Lucky for a little bit.
Names.
Christopher, Michelle, and Michael.
And where do you fit in the order?
I fit in between Michelle and Michael.
You're the second youngest.
Correct.
How old is your brother Michael?
Michael is 53.
What does he do for work?
He owns his own driving school, and he was a member of the select board.
And you say he owns his own driving school in which town?
Canton,
And you mentioned that he's a member of the select board for which town?
town of Canton.
And what is the select board in Canton?
It's the governing body for the town.
Having grown up in Canton, are you familiar with the Albert brothers?
Yes, I am.
Which ones?
All of them.
There it is. All of them.
Can you name them?
Brian, Chris, Brendan, Keith, Kevin, and Tim.
Of those Albert brothers, whom do you know the best?
Chris.
How close in age are Chris and you?
Very close. I believe I'm 2 years older than Chris.
How did you become familiar with Chris?
I went to elementary school, I went to middle school, and then he graduated from a different high school.
Was there any other relationship between the two of you beyond being classmates?
Yes, eventually I ended up working for Chris, delivering pizzas.
How old were you approximately when you started delivering pizzas for Chris Albert?
About 26.
Do you remember the name of his pizza establishment?
Yes, D&E Pizza,
Where is that located?
Canton Center.
How many years did you deliver pizzas for D&E Pizza and Chris Albert?
About 8 years.
Prior to January 29th of 2022, were you friendly with Chris Albert?
Yes,
You previously mentioned that your brother Michael is a town selectman. What political office does Chris Albert hold?
Chris Albert is also a select board member.
And Chris Albert is Brian Albert's brother, obviously.
Yes,
So your brother and Brian Albert's brother are both town selectmen together.
correct.
How did you become familiar with Kevin Albert?
Through D&E Pizza and
And I'm
interact.
sorry, you said through D&E Pizza?
Yes, and interactions with the DPW, doing details and stuff.
Okay. First, with regard to D&E Pizza, you said there were interactions.
It's
Do you know what his residence is or what the Kevin Albert from the Canton Police Department?
about a dozen times.
And what was the nature of your relationship with Kevin Albert before January 29th of 2022?
Through D&E Pizza, I would the Alberts usually had family functions on a weekend, and I would make deliveries.
Can these last few jurors hear the witness? I just want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay. Now, what was how did you become familiar with Brian Albert?
Again, through D&E Pizzas and deliveries
Deliveries where?
to his residence.
Do you know what his residence is or what the address is?
I do.
What is it?
34 Fairview Drive.
What was your understanding of what Brian Albert did for a living?
My understanding, he was a police officer for the city of Boston.
Now, you say that you made deliveries to 34 Fairview Road. How often? And was there a particular day of the week that you delivered more than others?
It's usually once a week, and it was usually on Sundays.
And that was to 34 Fairview Road?
Correct.
As of January of 2022, how many decades had the Albert family lived at that address, if you know?
As far as I couldn't give you a year, but I know as long as I've been in Canton, they've lived at that residence.
All right. Now, directing your attention to
They got out of Dodge right after police officer John O'Keefe was killed at that location.
And their family lived in that residence their whole lives. It's been in the family forever.
Yeah, that speaks volumes right there. Let's listen to Lucky talk about Frankentruck.
January 28th. And streets in between as well?
Yes.
And what street is in between Cedar Crest and Chapman?
There would be Spring Lane and Fairview.
What truck or snowplow were you assigned in those early morning hours?
I was assigned Truck 30.
And does that have a particular nickname?
Yes, it's considered a Frankentruck.
You said Frankentruck,
Yes.
like Frankenstein.
Yes.
Why was it nicknamed Frankentruck?
It was a very uncomfortable truck, and it had a lot of mismatch of parts to make it more convenient for the drivers.
I'd like to show you some photos, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Loughran, I've placed 4 photographs in front of you. If you could just familiarize yourself with them and look up at me when you're done. Do you recognize what is depicted in those photos?
Yes, I do.
And did you take those photos
I did.
at my request?
Yes.
What do those photos depict?
They depict the inside of truck 30 or Franken truck.
And is there one that actually depicts the outside from the front as well?
Yes.
Do those photos fairly and accurately depict Franken truck as it looked on or about January 29th of 2022?
Yes.
I would offer those, Your Honor.
I have no objection to any of the photos.
All right, thank you.
Perhaps they could be marked with the next exhibit number A through D.
Yes.
It's 211A, Madam Court Reporter.
Ms. Tianetti, why don't you take the photo so you'll know what?
Oh, great idea.
There's Franken truck.
Okay, could you explain what 211A depicts for this jury?
That is the front of truck 30 Franken truck. And it's depicting the 2 mirrors on the right and left side of the fenders.
Okay. What about the next one, please, Mr. Wall? Can you identify, this is 211B, sir,
Yes, that's the inside of the Franken truck looking out the windshield.
as if you were seated in the driver's seat?
Correct.
And by the way, folks, if you didn't watch this live, Mr. Yannetti told the jurors that at the defense's request, Lucky took these photographs for them. So this is Lucky's photographs of his Franken truck.
Next photo, please. This is 211C. What does this depict?
This is depicting on the range that I would see seated in the front seat, looking out the windshield and depicting how much I will be able to see.
Okay, and this would be more toward the left side in front of you as you're seated in the driver's seat?
Correct.
All right, next photo, please.
Yeah.
This is 211D. Could you explain this to the jury?
Again, I'm sitting in the front seat of the Franken truck and I'm taking a picture out the right side of the windshield, again, depicting on how much I can see out it.
Thank you. Okay, we can take those down and put the lights on. Okay, so you previously testified that you got to the garage about 2:15 a.m. on January 29th. Could you explain to the jury, what do you do when you get there at 2:15 a.m.?
So at 2:15, we do a simple circle check to make sure that there are no defects with the truck. We go ahead and we make sure it has plenty of diesel. And then I put, any supplies that I may have for the night, planning on an overnight shift. And then I get in the truck and I proceed to my route.
And what type of supplies are you talking about, sir?
Any types of drinks, food, anything, snacks.
Preparing for a long night?
Yes.
The circle check, does that mean what it sounds like, where you sort of take a circle around the vehicle?
Yes, we're trying to make sure that the truck is safe, that there is no defects that would hinder the job ahead of it of being able to plow.
And when you did the circle check in those early morning hours, was there anything unusual that you found?
None.
Were you comfortable driving the snowplow that night?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you make sure it's filled with diesel fuel so you're good for the night.
Correct.
Now, what lighting is there on the truck facing outward?
I have 4 lights. I have
All right, so we get the idea. I just wanted to play some of his testimony just to show his demeanor. He was smooth, cool, calm, and collected. He answered the questions with clarity. And then when he was crossed by Hank Brennan, again, the most egregious thing that Hank did today was to dismiss the death of Lucky's wife during the course of him coming out and giving his testimony at that time. And to me, it was one of the most heartless things. He 3 days ago, made another egregious statement, an outrageous statement about the kids who John O'Keefe, his nieces and nephew, his parents, the father in particular. He made an outrageous statement with the O'Keefes present in court about how the father passed on. And that to me took the cake. It was even far worse than what he did here today.
He's a total tool.
Total. Let's go to the parts where they show inside the water, the bar, because although some people might not think how significant this is, it's pretty significant because it shows Brian Higgins, his demeanor, and how he was being held back, and how he was pointing several times to outside of the bar for John O'Keefe to come outside the bar.
But before that, though, there was this, this play fighting that was going on between Albert and Higgins, right? And I referred to it as peacocking. Okay, trying to draw the attention of Karen to Brian. And acting, these are adult males in a freaking bar. They're cops. They're drunk. They're being stupid. Okay, and what adult does shit like this? Okay, and they're roughhousing inside the bar, hoping to get the attention of somebody, right? And when it's not working, becomes a little frustrated, and then texts Karen in the bar. And it gets ignored. And then John comes over and gives the kiss to Karen and kisses her on the head that our witness at the end of today testified to. And Higgins sees it and becomes enraged, right? It's all this alpha male bullshit that's going on here.
Right. Yeah, someone said in the chat, well, Laura in particular, she called Higgins a huge toddler. Karina did a great job of pointing out where everyone is in this blurry bar video. But the statement that she made towards the end of how she thought it was odd that Kerry came over to her to Karen and said, "You're coming with me."
Right.
Odd and off-putting, definitely something out of place. And then I think Yannetti tried to kind of lead her into, well, you were feeling uncomfortable that you weren't invited. And she finally said, yeah, it was kind of awkward. Yeah. So.
Zoomed in, do you see yourself?
I do.
And where are you seated?
So there's a white jacket on the back of a chair. That's me.
And do you see anybody else in that video that you now recognize?
I see Brian Higgins.
Okay. And when you say Brian Higgins, is that somebody that you had known prior to that night?
I did not know Brian.
He was one of the people you were introduced to?
Correct.
And you since have learned, put the face to the body, or I'm sorry, I should say the name to the body or the name to the face?
Correct.
All right. And where do you see Brian Higgins?
He has like an emblem on the back of like a sweatshirt.
All right, so his back is to the camera?
Correct.
And we have not located that pointer.
He's asking for the pointer.
Thank you, sir. May I approach the police?
Yes. So I'm referring to that head right there.
Understood. Okay, and
then,
I think you had said something else?
And then that right there is John O'Keefe with the hat.
Okay, there's a ball cap.
Correct.
And on the video, as we're looking at it, it's to the right up the top. It's to the right of the PM chyron there.
Right to the right
of the screen.
Correct. Sorry.
If we could continue to play. Stop.
There's the kiss.
So I see John giving Karen a kiss on the forehead.
Right. Establishing male dominance.
Yes.
I was looking right at them when it happened.
You were facing them.
I was facing them.
And it's right in the view of Brian Higgins.
Oh, yeah. He saw it totally.
Big time. And then, again, I said Kerry, but it was Jen McCabe who was, right, telling Karen Reed, "You're coming with me."
Yeah, it was Jen McCabe. Yes.
So I caught on to that, and I just want to make that corrections. So, yeah, Brian Higgins looking directly at that kiss on the forehead, and hence the enragement starts. Because shortly after this, he starts acting like a complete asshole and pointing outside. And you and I know especially when cops get together and there's drinking. It doesn't even have to be cops, just any males get together drinking and there's some type of something going on. What happens? Add alcohol, you get an instant asshole.
As anybody else?
Not right now.
Okay.
Social lubricant, right?
There you go.
And stop for a second. I would ask you, as soon as you recognize somebody else, if you speak up and tell us to stop, and we'll pause.
Okay. So right there is Karen's head.
Okay. Is that the back of Karen's head, or?
Correct. So that's the back of her head.
All right.
And
you're-
then
you're- by the way, just so the record's clear, over Mr. Higgins' shoulder.
All right, so I'm just going to stop this. This is Brian Higgins right here. He's got a clear view of John, an unobstructed view of John, and here's Karen, and then we're going to see him lean in right here. So you won't actually see this is a very grainy video, but he leans in and gives the kiss.
There appears to be a face looking forward on the right shoulder. You see that, right?
Correct.
You're not referring to that. You're referring to the long hair that's in back of that face.
yeah, could I point to it
Sure.
again? Okay. So I'm referring to that head right there.
Understood. Okay.
And
And
then-
I think you had said something else.
And then that right there is John O'Keefe with the hat.
Okay. There's a ball cap.
Correct.
And on the video, as we're looking at it, it's to the right up the top. It's to the right of the PM chyron there. up
Right to the
top
right
of
of-
the screen.
Correct. Sorry.
If we could continue to play.
Boom. He's right on her forehead right there.
Stop. What do you see?
So I see John giving Karen a kiss on the forehead.
Is that what you saw that night?
I did. I was looking right at them when it happened.
You were facing them.
I was facing them.
And what about Mr. Higgins? Where was he facing?
It appears that he's facing them as well.
That happened right in front of him.
That's what it looks like.
We could play. Sure. Okay, you can stop and we can take that down. Now, that night, did you have any information about the nature of Karen Reed's previous interactions with Brian Higgins?
None whatsoever.
This is it here.
Now, you're going to see, folks, that John is not holding a cocktail glass. He's got a tall boy. He's got a long neck beer bottle.
It's right here. Let me take the branding down for everybody so we can see it clearly. I'm going to take this off. So this is John O'Keefe right here. He goes to pay the bar bill, I believe, is what everyone's referring. This is Karina, and she's talking right here with Karen.
Right now, do you recognize anybody else in the background of that?
So to the right in the plaid shirt is my husband, Nicholas.
Okay. What about over your left shoulder?
So over my left shoulder is John O'Keefe.
And does that appear to be his back?
Correct.
Okay. You can play.
Now, he's going to leave that bar with that beer.
He was in your line of vision at that point, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, there was no cocktail glass. He had it looked like a dark, like Coors or a Michelob Ultra or something like that. One of those darker beer bottles.
What does he appear to be doing?
He appears to be like paying a tab or something like that, or maybe getting a drink. I'm not sure.
He's looking to the left.
In a particular direction right now?
He looks to be looking over his.
He's looking right to his left. You could see it right here.
Left.
Continue to play. Oh, if we could pause for a second. I neglected to ask you to point out Mr. Foster. We
Oh,
have
I'm
it now,
sorry.
We might as well use it.
Okay.
If you could point to yourself first.
Okay. So that's me.
All right, Karen.
That's Karen.
And John O'Keefe.
That's John.
Okay, continue to play, Mr. Wolf.
And that's Jen McCabe, right?
Yeah, right there. She's putting her hand up to him. She seems to be going very fast.
Stop. Back up just a sec. Oh.
He wants him to back up to that one.
I'll tell you when to start. Yep. Play. Stop. Okay.
So your hands.
Do you see what direction John O'Keefe is facing now?
He's looking to the left.
Okay, keep going. Keep going. Stop. What direction is he facing now?
To the left.
And what is over to the left?
I believe that's where the other group of men are located, perhaps.
Keep going. And I'd like to run this to 11:58:25.
He's looking at them over there, and he's
Stop.
got that beer bottle in his hand.
At this point, his whole body is turned to the left, correct?
Correct.
And he appears to be facing where the other group of men were?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
He appears to be facing in the direction of where the other group of men were?
Correct.
Continue to play, all through until 11:58:25. Okay, that's perfect. Now, keeping the video up, I'd like to now scroll over to the left side of the screen, and we're going to start that at 11:57:42, the same approximate time we started the previous discussion.
So this is everything all the way back to what we just viewed.
You can't hear you, Ron. You talking?
This is everything back, going back to what we just viewed, but he's going to zoom out so we could see the full picture of John O'Keefe's body language and what Brian Higgins and Chris Albert and what they were all doing, trying to hold him back.
I wish we could move that timestamp.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so look right there. That is a very aggressive move that was done by Chris Albert. You could see that's not joking going on here. That's not roughhousing and fooling around. Something just transpired, and he's basically trying to put Higgins in check, saying, "Hey, dude, don't do that. Don't do this." Right? By grabbing his arm that aggressively and putting that arm down. All right. You see?
Right there.
Mm-hmm. He's trying to grab his attention and say, "Hey, knock this off."
Video now in this still, we're able to stop. Okay. You've previously described the other three men. Are you able to identify them on this video now in this still frame clip?
This is huge because this is just hours before John O'Keefe was murdered. And it shows the demeanor of this man who we now know was texting Karen, and they were going back and forth about, do you think I'm cute? Did you always think this about me? Did you, so
that was well before this.
Right. But I'm saying it led up to this night.
Right.
And he was like, you're ghosting me. You're ignoring me. That was when they were in that bar.
And folks, I got to tell you, to be quite honest with you. Okay. Early on in my career, I learned not to go to large police functions where a lot of drinking was going to go down.
Happened there.
All right. Because nothing good comes out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone that I did go to as a rookie ended up in fights. Okay. And I said, nope, no more. I'm not going to go to these functions anymore.
Crispy Treat, thank you for being here. She says, yeah, he grabbed him very aggressively because he was probably getting hot under the collar and saying, I'm going to, we don't know. I mean, I almost just said I'm going to kill him. But, these are words that get yelled out when people get enraged. And this clearly shows that Higgins was not calm whatsoever at the end of the night here. So
now that's Chris Albert grabbing him, and Brian Albert is to the left.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Now
I believe I am able.
And who do you see? Are you up? Stop. Okay. Stop. Okay. You've previously described the other three men. Are you able to identify them on this video now in this still frame clip?
I believe I am able.
And who do you
Makeup Mobster says almost every cop I know has a drinking problem, but two of them right here that don't. I barely drink. Ed, I know you don't, but then again, you got bottles behind you. What the hell's going on with that? Hold on a second.
Oh, hell no.
What is that? Jameson and some.
Jameson's triple.
Oh, for fuck's
You
sake.
can only get it over in Europe. You can't get it here.
Good Lord.
Who do you see?
I see Chris Albert, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert.
And which one is which?
Chris Albert is the one that grabbed Brian Higgins' arm, and Brian Albert is with his back towards us.
Okay, now I'll ask you to use the pointer and point to Chris Albert, please.
That's Chris Albert.
On the right. There's Brian Higgins.
That's Brian Higgins.
In the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. And that's Brian Albert,
Okay.
I believe.
And with regard to Brian Higgins, which direction is he facing?
He's facing the left.
He's facing to the left?
I mean, I'm sorry, he's facing to the right.
Okay. And the direction that he's facing in, who's over there?
Ed, just an FYI. And Thunder Horse, thank you for gifting all those memberships. I saw that. Ed, just an FYI. Thunder Horse gets lovey-dovey on alcohol. So.
Social lubricant.
Yeah, baby.
Sustained.
What is over there? Is that the direction of the bar?
Sustained.
Here comes all the sustains.
Okay. Continue to play, please.
I just want everybody to know tomorrow I'm going to be recording a bunch of Bev's words, and I'm going to have them in the soundboard. A lot of sustains and sidebar, a bunch of stuff. I'm going to surprise you guys with some cool stuff.
Stop. Did you see he grabbed his arm a second time?
Correct.
Go back. I missed it.
Facing in which direction this time? Arm a second time.
Okay, good.
Right. You use the pointer and point to Chris Albert, please.
That's Chris Albert.
On the right. Where's Brian Higgins?
That's Brian Higgins.
In the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. And that's Brian Albert,
Okay.
I believe.
And with regard to Brian Higgins, which direction is he facing?
He's facing the left.
He's facing to the left?
I mean, I'm sorry, he's facing to the right.
Okay. And the direction that he's facing in, who's over there?
Sustained.
What is over there? Is that the direction of the bar?
Sustained.
Okay. Continue to play, please. Stop.
Grabs him again.
He grabbed his arm a second time?
Correct.
And Brian Higgins is facing in which direction this time?
He's facing the bar area.
Continue to play, please.
Now watch. He's going to lift his arm up and point. He's pointing right at John O'Keefe.
Some motion that Brian Higgins made?
The bar area.
Continue to play, please.
Go. He's going to point his arm up over there, and he's looking at it, and he's talking, and he's doing this. He's doing this.
And he said he motioned to outside as
Right.
well.
He's going to do it again.
Let's look at this in slow motion.
You know, I saw a couple of lawyers on YouTube on various channels talk about this, and they said, they didn't see anything in these actions that were going down here that alarmed them. And I'm like, what the hell are you looking at? Are you kidding me? This is very aggressive.
But lawyers are lawyers, and they're not used to seeing this type of stuff. But we've seen this over and over again, and many people who've hung out in bars have seen this. So let's look at it slow-mo. He's grabbing his left arm.
Yeah, now he's squaring off with him. He's more,
I've got
face
this
front to front.
The bar area.
Continue to play, please.
Watch what he does here.
Yeah, he lifts up his chin and he lifts his head up, and then he points towards John, and he's giving him this.
And watch, he points to here, which is the door leading outside.
Now it looks like Brian Albert is grabbing his other arm.
Watch what Higgins does here. He points to outside.
Yeah, he's like waving outside. He did this.
Yeah.
Some motion that Brian Higgins made?
He waved his arm.
Back it up for a second, Mr. Wolf, please. Stop.
Yeah, he's doing it again.
See a motion that
He put his left arm up.
okay. Appeared to be summoning somebody.
Sustained.
Yeah.
I love this comment right here. Where is it?
Ooh.
Debbie, thanks for putting this up. Just a bunch of boys blowing off some steam, right? Wrong. And I'm not saying this to you, Debbie, but I know she put this up sarcastically. But this is not. This is the end of the night, and there's only a few players left here, right? And John O'Keefe and Karina's husband are the only, or at least that I can see, the only males that are still hanging out there. And he is pointing at John O'Keefe, not talking to Karina's husband, because he doesn't want to bang Karina's the husband's wife. He wants to have relations with Karen Read. And he's pointing without a doubt at John O'Keefe to go outside and let's settle this outside. But it didn't get settled outside, as we know.
Continue to play. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Continue to play. I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah, come on, let's go outside. He's pointing outside. He's waving. Come on, come on.
Yeah. Again.
Come on, outside. Outside. Yeah.
No sound. I have it muted.
How many times have we seen this drunken cops and this kind of bullshit?
A lot. Look, come on, come outside. Come on. Let's settle this outside. I would love to interview those band members that are all packing up their gear, because they're right there hearing what he's saying. That would be another investigative step that was missed here, because if they really were investigating this to find out what happened, the troopers would have interviewed these band members and said, "Hey, you were standing right there with that guitar case. What was he saying?"
They would have investigated everybody that was in the bar. They would have interviewed them,
We know the NYPD would have done that, and any other good police department with crack detectives would have been interviewing and re-interviewing all of these people.
We would have showed them the tape. We would have had the tape. We would have showed them the tape. Hey, you were standing right here. What did they say? What were they doing? What was that all about?
There's a guitar case right here.
Yeah.
And they're packing up their equipment.
Again, this is all very aggressive. Okay. Everybody here is drunk. They've been drinking all day.
Emotion.
They went to the funeral of an NYPD fallen cop.
Mm-hmm.
Drove from New York back up to Boston. As a matter of fact, I think Higgins testified that he used the ATF vehicle. One of them used the department vehicle. Might have been Albert, but whatever. One of these guys used the department vehicle to drive down to New York City, attend the police officer's funeral, and then come back up here.
Put his left arm up.
Okay. Appeared to be summoning somebody.
Sustained.
Objection. Sustain.
Continue to play. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Continue to play. I'll bear that in mind.
Come on. He's waving. Come on. Outside.
And the other guys are too. The Albert guys are here saying, "Yeah, come on." But look, here's this guy holding this guitar case. He heard it all.
Right. And then Jen says in the presence with Karen, you'll come with me.
Yeah.
Ms. Kolakithis, did you see how many times Brian Higgins motioned with his arm?
Sustained.
There we go.
Commonwealth versus please, Mr.
Understood.
What? What does she say? The Commonwealth what?
ATS News, good to see you. I got to go back. Let's listen to Bev's.
What did lifeguard Bev say?
Sustained. Commonwealth versus please, Mr.
Understood.
The Commonwealth versus please? What? whatever.
Lifeguard
Forget her.
Lifeguard Get Bev. She walked herself into this one.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Thank you, Cameron.
Now, prior to this night, had you known or been aware of Chris Albert?
Just knew him from seeing him at D&E Pizza.
Okay, and you say you've seen him at D&E Pizza in what capacity?
I think he's the owner there at D&E Pizza, and we've gotten pizza there before.
And you'd been in that establishment before?
Correct.
And with regard to Brian Albert, have you had any interaction with him, either that night or before?
So that night, I was introduced to him, and I think I even spoke to him a little bit there. And then maybe
her at that point.
I'm not sure.
Okay, all right, continue to play, please.
You knew John. Your last image
with me, like
Yeah, this is it. I want
McCabe. And
when you can turn the lights back on. When you were leaving the establishment, whom did you leave with?
so again, it was myself, Jennifer McCabe, and Karen.
Did anything unusual occur when you were leaving?
So as we were leaving, Jen went over to Karen, kind of put her arm around her, and she started saying, "You're coming with me, you're coming with me." And Karen's like, "Huh? Like, what? Like, where are we going?" And
I'm going to sustain the objection.
The first part of that answer, the putting her arm around her, "You're coming with me," why did that stand out in your memory?
just because I was there too, and it just was strange. It was just like, "You're coming with me." Like, it was just something that stood out to me.
Forget about you. I don't want you. I want her.
No, it's fine. I mean, it was just stood out, you know? Yeah.
He tried to make her feel better.
Did Karen go with Jen McCabe?
"You're coming with me." Like, it was just something that stood out to me.
You weren't included.
I mean, no, it's fine. I
You
mean,
weren't included. No, it's fine.
it was just stood out, you know? Yeah.
Did Karen go with Jen McCabe?
No, she did not.
What did you see her do?
So then, out of the clear blue, thinking that Karen was going to go with Jen, I see Karen with John.
And where did you see Karen with John?
I saw them just I was parked across Washington Street, across from the restaurant, and I just saw Karen and John like walking down towards what used to be Amber Road, a place.
It used to be Amber Road?
It used to be Amber Road, yeah.
Is that a Amber Road cafe?
Correct. It was like a restaurant. It was like a little cafe shop.
And did you figure out why they were walking in that direction?
That's where I think Karen had parked her car.
Did you have any concerns about Karen being able to drive that night?
I had talked to her all night, and I did not notice anything strange about her. Like, I didn't think anything of it.
And once you parted ways, where did you go?
I went in my car.
And what was your last image of seeing Karen and John that night?
It was just them walking towards the car.
And that was the last time you were seen alive. I thought it was played out well. Mr. Yannetti set this whole thing up, basically solidified here. She is a pharmacist, 30 years in the business. She was drinking water all night. She said she's probably the only one at that location that wasn't drinking alcohol. And she said Karen Read was not slurring her speech. She did not appear to be inebriated, although it's alleged that she had, what was it, 6 vodka drinks or something like that, Ed?
6 shots of vodka or something like that.
Yeah. So, but she was able to carry on a conversation with her. Yes, she did get in her car. Yes, that probably wasn't a great idea.
Right.
But it
And
seems
then
like
immediately after this, you have all those texts from Jen McCabe to John, and then you have the text from Higgins to John. Are you coming? Are you coming? Okay.
Yeah. Let's go to the chat. A lot of people have questions. We could try to answer the questions. Some of them we might not. We're not law folks. You know, we're not attorneys, but we can answer any questions as it pertains to the case. Let me put the branding back on, Ed, so this way we're copacetic. I don't want to get yelled at.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day, about the good doctor that testified yesterday. I think she should go back to law school and become a lawyer. That would really stick it to Brennan.
Oh my God, that would be, Brennan would have a heart attack. So, Dr. Russell, oh my God, that would be unbelievable. A couple more super chats came in, Ed. So let's go to them, and then we're going to get to the questions. JD MH 20 beans. Thank you, JD, for the super chat. DutyRon and Ed, please dance to the Bad Boys. Holy shit. Ed never does an encore. When I play it the second time, he's like, no, I've had enough of this bag on my head.
It never gets old.
It never does get old. And I have a button that's the full song. It's 3 minutes and 42 seconds. I think the next time I'm going to play that whole button, and then Ed's going to take the bag off and go, what the actual... All right, that's enough. Get it off, Ed. Make the bag man go away.
It's the unknown crime scene investigator.
Oh boy, the unknown crime scene investigator. Heather, thank you for being a member. 33 months. She says thank you. EKG, always checking in with 2. Thanks for Bev bites. In her words, I'll allow that. We're going to get some of those bites. We are going to get them. Willie Wallace. Oh, it's Willie Wallace.
Hey, Will.
Will,
I see Will hanging out, if it's the same one, hanging out over at Melanie's.
Okay, he might be over at attorney Melanie Little's. It's not a bad place to be. You know, she played our whole day 26. Well, not the whole thing, but part of it while they were on lunch break. So thank you, Melanie, for doing that. Nurse Jones, number 2, sends in 2, says BHCA, BA, leaving, in my opinion, CA is egging on BH. It's a lot. That's a lot of stuff there. A lot to unpack. Tommy, thank you for being a member, gifting a member. Appreciate that. Thank you for gifting another member. Thomas Futch, thank you. Amber, thanks for the 10. Thank you, Lucky, for your honesty and integrity. Wishing you peace, not only for the loss of your wife, but also for your clear conscience. Yeah. How about that?
Amen.
Lucky, here's one from Mary again. I don't know if I read this. I might have.
£5.
Mary, yeah, she sends in £5. Lucky should have responded to Brennan.
Yeah,
what blogger are you referring to? Because there are many covering this case. Hank even went an extra step and said, are you a paid member? Hank Brennan's paying attention to YouTube because he knew, are you a subscriber? Do you support him on and off of YouTube? Hank was really going off. It was a Hank moment, that's for sure. Thunder Horse, thank you for gifting. Holy shiitake mushrooms! Look at Sherry Flores did.
20 DutyRon memberships.
Wow! Welcome everybody. And again, we're I think 500 subscribers away from 500,000. If you guys could take a moment for Ed and myself to hit the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. And thank you to everyone for being here on this Wednesday evening. Tomorrow, remember, no court. We got the day off. We will upload some videos tomorrow. You guys watch what?
Today is Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday, yeah.
Which means what? It's Sunday at Carvel's.
We got it. We ordered Carvel tonight. My wife.
All right.
We rarely do this, but we did Carvel Uber Eats. And Wednesday is Sunday. So you get the 2 for 1 on Wednesday. It's a good one. Jolene Marie is coming in very late and saying, "Good evening, friends." We're about to wrap it up, and Jolene Marie shows up. So
Jolene.
Jolene.
Hello to my friend.
Oh, what the hell? I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
All right.
Ron, step away from the panel. Step away from the
I'm
panel.
stepping away from it. Somebody says Lori Daybell trial starts tomorrow. That is exactly insanity that we need to stay away from, because she is Audi 5000. That's just going to be another circus there. It's just too much to handle. But hopefully she gets what she's got coming to her. I want to thank everybody for being here. Like we said, we really value your time that you spend here with us, and engaging with us in the chat is it's just a great way to communicate and continue the conversation. If you want to continue the conversation, leave us a comment down below in the comment section. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and share the video out. Ed, I don't know if you know this, but lots of people who watch us share our video like hundreds and hundreds of times. The videos get shared on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok. Like, I don't think you really realize how many shares that we get, and people share us onto Reddit. So there's like Reddit threads on some of our videos. So it's interesting. I want to thank everyone who is in this for the right reason, to support the victims and their families, for justice,
and truth,
justice, and the American way, for Police Officer John O'Keefe, and for the accused here. We can't forget about that. KB, thank you for coming in with the 20 and says, for the Uber Eats fund. Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that, KB. Thank you. Hey, Joey Brooklyn, where is he? Joey Brooklyn, a great, great friend, a great moderator, a great YouTube channel. If you're not
Joey B.
If you're not yet subscribed, check out Joey Brooklyn. He does a lot of good stuff. Amber, ATS News, also she's a good one. Karen, Legal Minded Friends, Karen Cole. Dawn Marie's got a channel. She's on there doing her thing. So go and support everybody who is a part of this community. So we want to thank you, Ed. I know you always have something to say at the end of these things, so you got it.
All right, folks. Thank you for spending this time with us, over an hour and a half. Your time is precious, and we also know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet, and it's an honor to have you here with us, and we appreciate you. Thanks for spreading our word. As Ron said, it's about 500 subscribers away from breaking 500,000, which is a huge milestone, and it's all because of you all. And always, folks, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen to that. Thank you again, all the replay viewers. We want to really, we need to let the replay viewers know that how valuable you guys are and how much we appreciate you, because so many of the guys and girls will chime in the morning and they'll be like, I'm in Germany, or I'm in, another part of the world, and I was sleeping while you were live. So we love to see those messages. So keep that stuff coming. Again, the Buy Me Cups of Coffee, the folks who support us on Patreon, the channel memberships, and all that great stuff. We love you. Thank you for watching. God bless, and good night.